or not? Okay, thank you very much, Dhananjay. So, good to see you guys as well. Okay, so I believe that in this time you have a good run with geography and current affairs. Okay, one thing I would like to tell you that economic survey has come. Economic survey has already come. The institution thought that in order to make you understand economic survey, okay, in order to make you understand economic survey, that we should understand some of the fundamental concept related to economics. क्योंकि इकोनॉमिक सर्वे क्या है, वो कंप्लीट जो पूरा आइडिया देता है आपको. फाइन, जब पूरा आइडिया आपको देता है तो इकोनॉमिक्स का बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट अगर नहीं पता होगा आपको तो आप सर्वे नहीं समझ सकते हो. सो इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट वी शुड do some concepts, important concepts, and then we will jump to our another segment which will be your economic survey. Fine. So inflation chapter पढ़ना क्या क्या, सबसे पहले कि इन्फ्लेशन में आपका लर्निंग आउटकम्स क्या है. मतलब कि इस चैप्टर को पढ़ेंगे तो हमको क्या क्या चीज पढ़ना है और कितना रहेगा. यस अनुज, क्लास अभी रहेगी, कंटिन्यूअस चलेगी. फाइन. इन्फ्लेशन में क्या क्या पढ़ेंगे, द वेरी बेसिक टिल द यूपीएससी लेवल वी विल स्टडी एवरीथिंग. फाइन. सो हम लोग इसमें पढ़ेंगे व्हाट इज इन्फ्लेशन, ठीक है, टाइप्स ऑफ inflation, your factors affecting inflation, terms related to inflation. कुछ टर्म है जो यूपीएससी पूछता है. फाइन, वो भी पढ़ेंगे हम. उसके बाद आप पढ़ेंगे इन्फ्लेशन को, ways to calculate inflation, कैलकुलेट करें इन्फ्लेशन को. ठीक है. उसके बाद इफेक्ट्स ऑफ इन्फ्लेशन हम देखेंगे, इफेक्ट क्या होता है वहां पे. ठीक है. फिर देखेंगे वेज टू कंट्रोल. फाइन. और लास्ट देखेंगे कि इन्फ्लेशन टारगेटिंग क्या होता है. सो इन दिस चैप्टर, ओके, इन दिस चैप्टर वी विल लर्न अबाउट ऑल दिस थिंग्स. फाइन. सो फ्रॉम द वेरी बेसिक, फ्रॉम द वेरी फंडामेंटल वी विल स्लोली एंड ग्रेजुअली बिल्ड करेंगे. ठीक है. बिल्ड करने के बाद आपको क्या मिलेगा कि कंप्लीट इन्फ्लेशन का जानकारी मिल जाए. ठीक है. दिस इज हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू गो अबाउट आवर लेक्चर. फाइन. सो आगे देखते हैं. नाउ सो फर्स्ट थिंग दैट इन्फ्लेशन अपना है क्या, व्हाट इज, क्या है. आई विल राइट two words, two sentences rather. Okay, I will write two sentences, and based on those two sentences we will build. Okay, हम लोग build करेंगे. तो let me write it down, then I'll make you understand. It is the continuous rise in the price goods and services. It is the continuous rise in the price of goods and services. Okay. One moment. second point is it reduces the purchasing capacity of the domestic currency. It reduces the purchasing. आवाज आ रही है आप लोग को सही से? Everyone? No sound. साउंड तो यहां से बढ़ा दिया गया है. Let me call them. Fine. Domestic currency. Yes sir, everything is fine. Okay. ठीक है, तो हमने क्या लिखा? यहां फोकस कीजिए, प्लीज फोकस हियर लिटिल बिट. We have started a very technical issue. Fine, inflation is a very technical issue. So it is important for you to focus here. आप यहां फोकस करिए और सब चीज क्लियर हो जाएगा. So I wrote two statements. I am trying to define inflation. So I said that inflation, it is the continuous rise or increase in the price. Inflation मतलब है कि continuously, मतलब कि कुछ ऐसा होगा. ग्राफ अगर देखें तो धीरे धीरे बढ़ रहा है. अभी क्या है, कम, थोड़ी देर में ज्यादा हो गया, थोड़ी देर में ज्यादा हो गया, थोड़ी देर में ज्यादा. मतलब कि ये वाला टाइम फ्रेम में अगर आप देखते हैं, इस टाइम फ्रेम में अगर टी टाइम फ्रेम है, तो यहां पे क्या देख रहे हैं, दैट क्या हो रहा है, प्राइस बढ़ रहा है. गॉट इट? प्राइस बढ़ रहा है. वन मोमेंट एवरीवन. सम पीपल कैन हियर द वॉइस वेरी क्लियरली, सम पीपल आर नॉट. मोमेंट. Hello everyone. I think now the sound is clear. Okay, is sound clear now? Okay, fine. Thank you very much, Adi. Now, okay, everyone. So, first thing first. अभी हम करने क्या कोशिश कर रहे हैं? अभी क्या है, हम डिफाइन करना चाह रहे हैं कि इन्फ्लेशन होता क्या है क्या इन्फ्लेशन, इसको समझने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. फाइन. तो हमने दो स्टेटमेंट लिखा. आई रोट टू स्टेटमेंट. स्टेटमेंट नंबर 1, स्टेटमेंट नंबर 2. स्टेटमेंट नंबर 1 says that it is the continuous rise in the price of goods and services. मतलब कि कोई भी गुड्स, फॉर एग्जांपल ये एक पेन लेते हैं, मार्कर, दिस इज अ मार्कर. फाइन. अगर इसका प्राइस आज 1 रुपए, कल 2 रुपए हो गया, परसों 3 रुपए हो गया, 10 दिन बाद 20 रुपए हो गया, व्हाट इज दिस? इंक्रीमेंटल, बढ़ रहा है कि नहीं रेट? 1 रुपए से 20 रुपए हो गया. सो व्हेन देयर इज अ continuous increase in the price of any goods or any services, that is called inflation. तो इन्फ्लेशन कुछ ज्यादा नहीं होता है, सिंपल टर्म समझिए, किसी भी वस्तु का कीमत बढ़ जाना होता है. एनी कमोडिटी और एनी सर्विसेज, इफ द प्राइस इंक्रीजेस, दैट इज इन्फ्लेशन. दूसरा नंबर स्टेटमेंट में आते हैं, इट रिड्यूसेस द परचेजिंग कैपेसिटी ऑफ द डोमेस्टिक करेंसी. इट इज द परचेजिंग कैपेसिटी ऑफ द डोमेस्टिक करेंसी. So when we talk about the purchasing capacity of domestic currency, though I would like to inform here that this particular statement you will understand when we will see the effect of inflation in the economy. Got it? Nevertheless, I am trying to make you understand here. थोड़ा हम यहां समझाने की कोशिश करते हैं. Let's discuss this statement a little bit. I am trying to discuss. It says purchasing capacity. It reduces the purchasing capacity of the currency. Now let's see. Let me put it this way. For example, February 1, price of onion is, let's say, rupees 20 per kg. On this day, if your mother asks you that, if your mother gives you 50 rupees and tell it to you that go to market and buy onion. So since you have 50 rupees at your disposal, 50 रुपए आपके पास है, how much you can buy? 2.5 kg, right? If the price of onion is 20 rupees kg, so 50 रुपए में कितना? 2.5 kg. Let's imagine on March 1, fine. Again, you are buying onion. Now, at that time, your price of onion increased 50 rupees per kg. Okay? Now, if your mother gives you 50 rupees on this fine day, and she asks you that go and bring onion, how much onion you can buy? 1 kg. Only 1 kg you could possibly buy. So, the rupee remains the same. But the ability of that 50 rupees to buy onion on day February 1 is more, but the ability of 50 rupees to buy onion after a month is very less. So what happened? It reduced the purchasing capacity. इसका जो capacity है, खरीदने का क्षमता, purchasing capacity को क्या कर दिया? Reduce कर दिया. Got it? No value of currency यथी. It only reduces its ability to buy. But that 50 rupees cannot buy the same quantity here, quantity reduced. So ability reduced. It reduces the purchasing capacity. Got it? Now, this is the definitional part of inflation. Okay? So everyone please write down. Ritesh has asked, is it purchasing power parity? No, it's not purchasing power parity. We will talk about purchasing power parity in GDP chapters. Okay? So write down please. Inflation refers to the continuous rise in the price of goods and services. It reduces the purchasing capacity. Of the domestic currency, and therefore adversely affects various sectors of the economy. Various sectors of the economy. Fine? Sectors of the economy. All right? Vishwa Bharati asked question, what is domestic? Domestic currency means the currency used in any country. For example, in India, domestic currency is, if you go to China, domestic currency is yuan or renminbi, they say. If you go to United States, domestic currency is what? Dollars. Adi, if the purchasing ability of currency reduces, so of course quantity to ghatega hi na, it certainly will decrease. Now, so definitional part we have understood. Base effect, we will see Kunal base effect. We'll see Kunal base effect. Everything will be told. Just have patience. You will learn economics. In the end, you will find out that economics is the most easiest subject. Normally, it is one of the toughest subjects of all the subjects. All the subjects are straightforward. Economics is not. But I promise you that you will understand each and everything. Just have patience. Abhi to start kiya humne. Okay. Now, types of inflation. Types of inflation. Okay. So, I already told you one thing. Jai Hind, Jai Hind. So, I told you one thing, that whenever you have to classify something, whenever you have to define the different category of something, types of something, there must be certain basis on which you can divide the so what are the basis of this? Let's check it. So on the basis of cause behind inflation, okay, and other one is on the basis of rate of growth of inflation. इस दो basis पे, on these two bases we can identify various types of inflation. Okay, हर चीज पढ़ेंगे, everything we will understand from the very basic to the highest possible level. Fine, nothing will be left, do not worry. Now, on the basis of cause behind inflation, inflation is of three types. Your demand pull inflation, second one is your cost push inflation, and the third one is your structural inflation. Okay? Demand pull, cost push, and structural. So, or delineate kar deta hu. Yes, yes. Whatever I am writing on the board, these charts, you should make this chart. Okay? Fine. All right. On the basis of rate of growth of inflation. Fine. तो क्या होता है? Creeping inflation. ठीक है? Another is trotting inflation. Trotting inflation या walking inflation भी बोलते हैं. ठीक है? Then is galloping inflation. Galloping inflation. और एक होता है लास्ट में your run away. या इसको भी हाइपर भी बोल सकते हैं आप, हाइपर इन्फ्लेशन. फाइन, हाइपर इन्फ्लेशन. सो फर्स्ट लेट्स सी, अब इसका क्या है, बेसिस क्या है? व्हाट इज द बेसिस? बेसिस इज, और बेसिस हियर is rate of growth. Means that inflation rate is 5%, inflation rate is 6%, food inflation gone to XYZ%. So all these things will occur. Fine. आप पढ़ेंगे न्यूज़पेपर based on this made. So creeping inflation means that rate of inflation is not very high. It is approximately 3%. When the rate of inflation is approximately 3%, 3.5%, something like that, then the newspaper or the journalists will call that kind of pattern as 3%, as creeping inflation. So now what about trotting inflation or walking inflation? अब trotting और walking क्या है? So nearly 3 to 10% is trotting or walking inflation. Means the rate of growth बढ़ गया. Now it's galloping. Galloping means horse gallop. Horse run at a very high pace. So it means inflation will further rise. How much is the question? So when 10 to 20% is there, you call it galloping inflation. Now there is a high runaway inflation. Runaway or high inflation क्या होता है? जब 30%, when your rate of inflation is 30%, then it becomes hyperinflation. Got it? In countries like Zimbabwe, in countries like Venezuela, Zimbabwe में, Venezuela में, in those kind of countries, our rate of inflation is very, very high. बहुत ज़्यादा है. How much? More than 1000%. 1000% inflation. So if you are living in Zimbabwe, if you want to have a breakfast or in a good restaurant, then you have to take a briefcase full of cash in order to have a one-time meal. So very high inflation means just one thing. Remember that economy is shattered. Economy खत्म हो गया उसका. Zimbabwean economy, Venezuelan economy is very depressed economy because inflation is hyperinflation. So remember one thing. It is asked in IAS examination and many PCS examination. This particular question. Okay. So please write it down. Then we will jump into this. Okay. So let me bring it down a little bit. Types of inflation. There are two types, two bases. On the basis of cause behind inflation. Next, on the basis of rate of growth of inflation. On the basis of cause behind inflation, there are three types of inflations. Number one, demand pull inflation. Number two, cost push inflation. Number three, structural inflation. We will talk about these things in detail. इसके बाद. Here, on the basis of rate of growth of inflation, you have creeping inflation, trotting or walking inflation, galloping inflation, runaway or hyperinflation. 3%, 3 to 10, 10 to 20, which is more than 30. ठीक है? What is rate of growth of inflation? Whenever you say percentage, whenever you say rate of GDP, growth rate is 3%. Okay? This 3% indicate your rate. Percentage indicate rate. Remember? So this is rate. Percentage indicate rate mathematically. Fine? Chaliye. I believe that you guys have written. So the first thing. Now let's talk about demand pull inflation. Okay? So in demand pull inflation, okay, when the demand is high, higher than supply, this situation is called demand pull inflation. Means the inflation has grown, demand is very high. What happens in the case of onion? Onion के केस में क्या होता है? Onion के केस में क्या होता है? Sometimes in normal times it is 20 rupees a kilo. Sometimes it becomes 100 rupees a kilo. And during this situation, you hear in the news that India buy from Afghanistan, Africa, likewise. Got it? Africa, Afghanistan, this sort of thing. Countries say India buy. Because in India, demand बहुत high है. Everyone eats onion. Anywhere in the country you go, you will find onion, onion, onion. So when the demand is very high, अब क्या है? Just imagine एक situation बताओ. If there are 10 buyers, 10 लोग खरीदार हैं. Everyone wants to buy 1 kg of commodity. Everyone wants 1 kg of commodity. कोई भी चीज. But if I am a seller, मैं एक दुकानदार हूं, I have just 2 kg of that commodity. What will I say? I'll say whoever will give me maximum price, I will give this 2 kg to them. तो जो मुझे अधिक पैसा देगा मैं उसे दे दूंगा. Why I am in such a situation? Because there are 10 people who want to buy minimum 10 kg and I have just 2 kg demand. Remember during the time of COVID, क्या हुआ? The same face mask that nowadays you are getting at 2 rupees, 5 rupees, same normal mask we used to get at 50 rupees. Sanitizer demand was very high. Availability, supply of sanitizer was not that high. So whosoever had sanitizer, they were selling it at any price. सीधा लेना है लो, नहीं लेना मत लो. And you have no choice but to take it. Whenever there is huge demand, supply is less, then situation will come, and that situation will be called as demand pull inflation. That's right, Kunal. Even I bought N95 at 400 rupees. Today you go and buy N95, it will cost you just 30 rupees. 30 rupees mil rहा. Why? Demand was very high, supply was very less. Okay, so write down demand pull inflation. Put up the heading demand pull inflation. This type of inflation happens due to increase in the demand of goods and services. Demand of goods and services vis-a-vis supply. This type of inflation, full stop, this type of inflation occurs generally when there is average increase in income, in any economy, average increase in income in any economy. All right, अब आते हैं cost push inflation. Okay, it simply says that the cost of production goes up. When for example, this commodity pen, if the cost of production gone up, means price will go up. Today, in normal circumstances, if this is sold at 10 rupees and cost of production was rupees 5, just imagine. Ye cost of production. Cost of production become. Do you really think the price will remain? It means price will increase. Iska daam ho jayega 12, maybe 13 rupees, something like that. Okay. नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज, आप कहोगे सर ये कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन क्यों बढ़ जाता है? व्हाई दिस कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन इंक्रीजेस? आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन इज दैट लेबर लगता है प्रोडक्शन में, रॉ मटेरियल लगता है, all these things. Because the cost of raw material gone up, because the cost of labor goes up, your cost of production will increase. Then those kind of inflation are called cost push inflation. Got it? So there is one question. Vis-a-vis means, vis-a-vis का इंग्लिश मतलब होता है against. Okay? vis-a-vis का इंग्लिश मीनिंग होता है against. Okay? So I am repeating cost push inflation one more time. Please listen to this point very carefully. Cost push inflation means cost of production. There is increase in the price of a commodity because the cost of production of that commodity increased. Now the question is, why the cost of production will increase? Cost of production will increase when the cost to means of production will increase. And what are those means of production? Means of production are labor, raw material, all these things are, if their price increase. Today I am paying labor 10,000 rupees a month. Tomorrow I pay the labor 12,000 rupees a month. Means that increment of 2,000 rupees. Kahin na kahin to fir, it means my profit margin will reduce, right? If I am an entrepreneur, why will I reduce my profit margin? So what I will do, I will increase the price from 10 rupees to 12 rupees. Okay, so write down, please. Write down. Cost push inflation, write down. This type of inflation occurs. This type of inflation occurs when there is increase in the cost of production, for instance, cost of production increase in the wage rate, of labor, increase in the wage rate of the labor, comma, increase in the price of raw material, increase in the price of raw material, increase in the price of raw material. Okay, so now it is structural inflation. Structural inflation. Inflation क्या है? Price, simple. Price increase. Okay? Structural inflation means because of the structural factors, price increases. Now the question is, what is structural factor है क्या? Now the structural factor means, for example I am giving you infrastructure. If your infrastructure is not good, the price of that come up. You can ask me how? कैसे sir? पूछ सकते हो आप? Let me tell you. I'll give you one example. If you go to a hill station पे जा रहे हो, so in plain area, and then मान लो hill station, here it is, okay? Just because कि this is from here to here, this is hilly terrain, means infrastructure is not very good in general. So the cost of Maggi here, 10 rupees, sorry, not 10, let's say cooked Maggi, it is 15 rupees. 15 रुपए में cooked Maggi मिलता है in plain area. Okay? The moment you will reach here, it will become 20 rupees. ऐसा थोड़ी है यहाँ पे कुछ ज्यादा मिला रहा है, but still it is 20 rupees. But if let's say एक और height पे चला गया यहाँ पे, all right, from here to this place, people have to take that commodity Maggi on their body and finally reach to this place. If you buy the same Maggi here, you will get 50 rupees. Because infrastructure from से यहां तक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर क्या है, अच्छा नहीं है. यहां से यहां तक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर अच्छा नहीं है. That's why यहां पे 20 rupees, यहां पे 50 rupees. In general, it is 15 rupees, 15 रुपए. So wherever there is lack of infrastructure, price of commodity goes up. It is across the world. The moment you go to any hilly terrain, height पे ज्यादा पहुंच जाएंगे, price of that commodity will go up. Reason is one, because infrastructure is not. So whenever price of the commodity goes up because of the structure of the economy, it is called a structural inflation. So write down, please. Write down, whenever price of a commodity is price of commodity is increased because of lack of infrastructure or the presence of mal governance, M-A-L, mal governance, presence of mal governance as well as several loopholes in the supply chain mechanism, several loopholes in the supply chain mechanism. For example, hoarding, यहां पे लिखा है वर्ड होर्डिंग, ब्लैक मार्केटिंग, hoarding, black marketing, etc. All right? चलिए, so hoarding क्या होता है ये भी जान लेते हैं. For example, I know that in the month of, just imagine, of April रख लो, onion का price becomes 100 in general. And let's imagine when the price of onion was 20 rupees a kilo, cold storage facility मेरे पास है, in 20 rupees kilo मैंने 10 tons होल्ड कर लिया. होल्डिंग मीन्स व्हाट? जमा करना, एग्रीगेशन. इतना हमने जमा करके रख लिया. एंड आई एम थिंकिंग दैट आई विल रिलीज दिस व्हेन onion will clock 100 rupees. Got it? Price become 100, then I'll sell. Huge profit. 5 times ka profit hoga. Got it? But hoarding is what? This storage of 10 tons is illegal. Illegal hai ye. Who is the agency? Who is responsible ki hoarding nahi hone denge? Food and Civil Supplies. Food and Civil Supplies is one. Second, you can give the example that police bhi rokna chahiye. But they are also corrupt. I will be very happy that I will tell them that I'll give you 20% of the total profit. Please don't raid me. The policeman will be, or police food and safety department will be very happy. जब ऐसे होगा तो प्राइस तो ऑनियन होगा ना 100. Yes, Manas, you are absolutely right. Tehzeel, mal governance. Mal governance means govern at the word. कोई भी word में, कोई भी word X, if you use the word prefix is mal. इसका मतलब simple है. इसका मतलब है खराब. Mal means bad. So governance means bad governance. Fine. Essential commodities can't be stored. Yes, essential commodities can't be hoarded. But if your governance is bad, anything can happen. All right? हमने पढ़ लिया. Now you can ask me one question. That sir, एक बात बताओ. That India का क्या है? What kind of problem do we have? What kind of problem do we have? Our inflation rate is because of structural problem, cost push, or demand pull. So in India, the inflation is mostly I'm saying, seen because of structural factor and demand pull. These are the admixture of these two factors is leading to inflation in India. Mostly in 90 cases, this is the way. Okay, and in most of the countries, wherever you will see that inflation is high, mostly it is driven by demand pull inflation. Got it? तो चलिए हमने अभी तक we have covered 2 sections. 2 section cover किया. First section, what is inflation? Second section, type inflation. Got it? Now let's move to third section. कि third section में अपन move करते हैं. ब्लैक मार्केटिंग मतलब फॉर एग्जांपल ब्लैक मार्केटिंग का क्या एग्जांपल दें? हाँ, अल्कोहल, शराब इन मोस्ट ऑफ द स्टेट्स आफ्टर 9:30 डिपेंड्स ऑन विच स्टेट यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट इज नॉट allowed to sell. But even if there is alcohol, still मिल सकता है. Similarly, Subham has quoted very good example. Bihar, still you get alcohol in Bihar. You can get alcohol in Gujarat. Gujarat is also a dry state. How? Black marketing. Okay? चलिए अब पढ़ते हैं factors affecting inflation. So in economics, remember, mostly it is दो चीजें ड्राइव करता है. डिमांड और सप्लाई. इसी का कहानी है. द एंटायर इकोनॉमिक्स इज ऑल अबाउट डिमांड सप्लाई, डिमांड सप्लाई. ओके, सप्लाई पूरा इकोनॉमिक का कहानी ही है, डिमांड एंड सप्लाई. No other story is there. If you understand these two things, economics khatam. Fine. So how this demand and supply ये कैसे इन्फ्लेशन को अफेक्ट करता है? इन्फ्लेशन क्या है? इंक्रीज इन प्राइस. ओके, नाउ तो पहले डिमांड के बारे में बात कर लेते हैं थोड़ा. फिर सप्लाई के बारे में बात कर लेंगे, नॉट एन इशू। ओके, अब देखो डिमांड कैसे बढ़ता है, मींस हाउ द डिमांड विल increase. I'll give you one example. Please listen to this example very carefully. With the help of this one example, I'll make you understand the entire economics. Example पे focus करने का अभी, और सब चीज भूल जाइए। For example, एक फैक्ट्री है, ठीक है, फैक्ट्री, one factory is there. फॉर एग्जाम्पल किसी ने इन्वेस्ट किया, एक फैक्ट्री बना दिया, ठीक है। टुडे आई एम अनएम्प्लॉयड, टुमारो आई विल बी एम्प्लॉयड। अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट सिचुएशन मीन्स माई परचेजिंग कैपेसिटी इज व्हाट, वेरी लेस। आई डोंट हैव मनी इन माई पॉकेट फ्रॉम वेयर आई कैन परचेज। पैसे ही नहीं रहेंगे तो खरीदोगे क्या? दैट इज हिलेरियस। बट जैसे ही पैसे आएंगे, आई विल स्टार्ट बाइंग न्यू क्लोथ, new mobile phone, so many things. Means what? I created demand. The moment factory happens, employment happens. Demand happens. Okay? If demand happens, production happens. Fine? This is a cycle, remember. सिंपल है, कुछ दिमाग नहीं लगाना है इसमें। फैक्ट्री, एम्प्लॉयमेंट, डिमांड एंड प्रोडक्शन। सो व्हाट डिड आई डू? आई क्रिएटेड डिमांड। इन ऑर्डर टू प्रोड्यूस, समवन हैज टू बिल्ड फैक्ट्री, राइट? तो साइकिल चलने लगा, फैक्ट्री, एम्प्लॉयमेंट, डिमांड, प्रोडक्शन, फैक्ट्री, एम्प्लॉयमेंट, डिमांड, प्रोडक्शन। सो एनीथिंग यू प्रोड्यूस, ये भी आप जानते हैं, वो उसको क्या बोलते हैं हम लोग? जीडीपी। दो यू हैव नॉट स्टडीड जीडीपी एज ऑफ नाउ, इसके बाद वाला चैप्टर में जीडीपी पढ़ेंगे। बट यू नो दैट इन द लास्ट सेगमेंट ऑफ आवर क्लास हमने देख लिया था जीडीपी क्या, दैट एनीथिंग यू प्रोड्यूस इज जीडीपी। सो जीडीपी बढ़ गया, मींस इट इज जनरली सीन एज अ ट्रेंड दैट व्हेनेवर जीडीपी इंक्रीजेस, डिमांड इंक्रीजेस। व्हेनेवर डिमांड इंक्रीजेस, डिमांड इज लाइक दिस। इफ दिस इज द मैथमेटिकल इक्वेशन दैट यू गेट, इसका एक ही मतलब होता है, इन साहब अधिक है। एंड व्हाई? इट इज बिकॉज डिमांड, डिमांड के कारण हुआ है। फर्स्ट पॉइंट वन इज दैट, पॉइंट नंबर वन, डिमांड सेक्शन में पढ़ रहे हैं, ओके? इन डिमांड सेक्शन, अभी सप्लाई में नहीं घुसा है। व्हेन per capita income increases, the per capita income क्या हो गया? इंक्रीज हो गया, या जीडीपी इंक्रीज होता है तो डिमांड बढ़ता है। गॉट इट? नेक्स्ट इज इफ disposable income increases, डिस्पोजेबल इनकम बढ़ जाता। अब नाउ यू कैन आस्क, सर ये डिस्पोजेबल इनकम क्या है? डिस्पोजेबल इनकम, व्हाट इज डिस्पोजेबल इनकम? मींस, अब इसको समझाते हैं, डिस्पोजेबल इनकम क्या होता है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई अर्न 10,000 rupees. How much I earn? 10,000 rupees एक month. Rent, let's imagine rent is 2,000. 2,000 रुपए रेंट है। Food is 1,500, 1.5K. Okay? Electricity, internet, other essentials, just imagine 2,000. Okay? Traveling and ये सब मिला लो, traveling, all other expenses is 1,000. कर गया, 2, 2 4, 1 5, 1 6, 6.5, 6.5K। कमाता कितना हूं? 10K। इज 3.5K। This 3.5K is your disposable income. For example, I am working and I'm an excellent worker, and whoever has given me employment, company ने बोला राजीव चौहान is working excellently, give him bonus, 2000 रुपया बोनस दे दिया, मान लो बोनस 2000, तो कोई मंथ हो गया उसमें बोनस 2000 मिल गया, तो कितना मेरे पास बचा? 5.5। नाउ विद दिस एक्स्ट्रा 2000 मेरा मन है मैं जो चाहूं वो कर सकता हूं। आई कैन बाय क्लोथ, आई कैन गो एंड roam around Delhi, take ले भाई दिल्ली है, I have many choices. So whoever mother and father is a government employee, when they get arrear, they get bonus. Whenever the planning this payment बढ़ जाता है, extra money, what do you do? बोनस 1 लाख रुपए बोनस मिल गया, what would you do? उसे क्या करते? We buy new TV, new bike, maybe new couch, those sort of things we buy. That is what? Demand बढ़ा। क्यों? क्योंकि भाई साहब आपका disposable income बढ़ गया, the income that you can dispose, income that is not necessary, immediate necessity के लिए जरूरत नहीं है, so that kind of income you can dispose, you can do anything you want with that income. तो arrear मिला, bonus मिला, all these things are disposable income. अब ठीक है, डिस्पोजेबल इनकम बढ़ा दिया, डिमांड बढ़ गया। चलो नेक्स्ट, लेट्स सी। नाउ द पॉइंट दैट आई एम गोइंग टू राइट, दैट विल बी ट्रिकी, ध्यान सुनना। व्हेन गवर्नमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर इंक्रीजेस, अब गवर्नमेंट का एक्सपेंडिचर बढ़ जाता है, एक्सपेंडिचर जो है बढ़ गया अगर, मींस गवर्नमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर मींस व्हाट? गवर्नमेंट लेट्स से इमेजिन वो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाना शुरू कर देता है, ह्यूज इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर डीबीटी करने लगा, ऑल दिस थिंग गिविंग मनी। पर्पस क्या है इसका? इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, एनी काइंड ऑफ गवर्नमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेट करता है। द मोमेंट एम्प्लॉयमेंट इज जनरेटेड, you know that same cycle, the moment employment generated, demand increases. The same thing we have discussed in case of your that business cycle or economic cycle. We have done it last time, na? चलिए, okay, now ठीक है, next is again how demand, fine, if we have if we have loose monetary policy, loose monetary policy. Now this is a very tricky line, technical line. Monetary policy क्या होता है आपको पता ही नहीं है. So in brief, if I have to tell you, see, look at me. Monetary policy we will understand in totality, in and out, when that chapter will come. जब वो आएगा तब अपन पढ़ेंगे, ठीक है. ब्रीफली यहां थोड़ा बताते हैं. मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी लूज, या इसको चीप भी बोलते हैं. इसको आप ये लिख दो, चीप लिख दो. Cheap monetary policy means interest rate is interest rate is very low. Okay. Interest rate is very low. Means today housing loan, let's say, is 12%. Tomorrow if government starts giving, or sorry, not government, banks start giving housing loan at 8%. A person, a middle class person like me will do what? I will think that never ever in the history that the interest rate is going, भी मौका सही है, घर कार खरीद लो भैया. This sort of thing. That happens how? Monetary policies. For up till अभी के लिए, for temporary purpose, remember only this much. Okay? बाद में हम monetary policy complete पढ़ाएंगे ये आप लोग को. Fine? अभी समझने के लिए इतना याद रखिएगा. Okay? Now, everyone, please write down inside. Write down this. Government expenditure, stimulus package, government expenditure, like people do with gold. Yes, certainly. ठीक है? Everyone, please write it down. फिर हम supply side जाएंगे. This is number 2 first. Point number 3, Devam. This is point number 3. Government expenditure simply means making road, bridges, airport. That is government expenditure. If that increases, that will enhance employment. When employment is enhanced, demand is up. If you have written it, then please inform. Manas, CPI is more, not WPI. CPI is more because there is food related items which are 42% in weightage, and food inflation is high. Okay. Now, I have written this side demand side, that side supply side. So let's talk about supply. अब है कि डिमांड कैसे बढ़ा? Now another factor is supply ही रुक जाए, stop the supply, or disruption in supply. If supply is disrupted somehow. Now, how this supply will be disrupted? How this disruption? If shortage in factors of production, अगर शॉर्टेज हो जाए फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन में हो जाएगा. As Manas quoted very well, that in case of lockdown, there was shortage, many factories closed, many things closed. So for the time being, बढ़ गया. Second, I'll give you a very good example. ये सब example लिखते रहना इधर उधर. See, whatever I tell you, I dictate many of the things, but it doesn't mean that will suffice. Fine. You have to write those things as well, which are spoken, which are delivered to you through lectures. Okay? Because that is a random thought. अचानक से example आता है तो हम बता देते हैं. Got it? Very good example I'll give you. Fine? For example, Uh, in eastern Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, every year, okay, every year, agriculture laborer means what? People who work in agricultural field. They don't have any on the land उनके पास नहीं रहता है, work करते हैं, पैसा कमाते हैं. So during the time of sowing, during the time of harvest, ये दो समय में many people from eastern Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, they are used to migrate. Not they used to, they are migrating from that place to reach to Punjab and Haryana. Now the question is why? Because Punjab and Haryana pays a lot for those kind of people. बहुत ज़्यादा पैसे देते थे उनको. So in a very short duration of 3 months, they used to earn in windfall. बहुत कमा के आ जाते थे. एक बार में आते थे. Their saving is like 1 lakh, 1,50,000. That's huge, right? So remember, imagine if this is ठीक है. अब ये पंजाब हरियाणा है, फाइन. ये हो गया बिहार यूपी. If most of the laborer migrate from this place to this place, okay, if most of the laborer migrate from this place to this, what will happen to this place? यहां पे क्या होगा? Labor shortage. So during, ध्यान से सुनिएगा, during the time of sowing and harvest, per day labor cost in states like Bihar, if you want a manual labor, it is extremely high. Sometimes they charge 700 rupees per day. क्यों? Shortage हो गया. And I have no choice. I have to build a building. एक building बनाना है. लेबर तो चाहिए ही चाहिए. लेकिन क्या हो गया? लेबर का शॉर्टेज. ठीक है? So I am paying 700, sometimes 800 even, because I cannot delay my construction work. Huh? Got it? So this is the situation. So shortage in fact क्या है? Labor है क्या? Similarly, less coal, what will happen? Supply will be disrupted. Supply will be expensive. Okay? चलिए. Fine. This is one factor. Another factor of disruption is industrial dispute. Industrial dispute. Industry में dispute हो गया. Dispute between who? The owner and the worker. Dispute in industry happens between owner and the worker. तो क्या होगा? Production होगा क्या? Production बंद. Supply होगा commodity का. Now do you think there will be supply of commodity? No. Another, for example, natural calamity. Natural calamity हो गया. If there is a situation of flood, do you think there will be any production? No production. Transport will be shut down. Factories will be shut down. People will be living their lives, saving their loved ones, saving their home rather than going to the place of work. Natural calamity आ गया. भूकंप आ गया तो earthquake. Okay. Another factor is decrease in agriculture output. Agriculture output, not necessarily agriculture and industrial, both output. If for some reason agriculture output means what? How much is produced? how much is produced in 1 year, that is agricultural output. If your output is less, क्या होता है? कम प्रोड्यूस करते हैं. पल्स के साथ क्या होता है? कम प्रोड्यूस करते हैं. That is why the rate of pulse is 100. Because India doesn't produce enough pulse, we have to import. Import करोगे तो महंगा पड़ेगा. Fine? That is one thing. Okay? Then artificial scarcity. Artificial scarcity हो गया. Artificial scarcity means what? Same. Your hoarding kind of artificial. That normally there is huge production, but many people hoarded it. छुपा के रख लिया उन्होंने. So in the market, what will happen? Supply will be very less. Onion again example. Pulses. Other is international factors. Okay? Like rise in oil price. अब बोलोगे oil price में rise हो गया. No, you can say, sir, what is wrong? Why oil price rise? Then how it is impacting? Well, it will. Let me tell you how. They import 80% of their total consumption from abroad. India 80% अपना total production का abroad से लेके आता है. Middle East. Only handful of countries are there who has complete monopoly over the oil prices. Complete monopoly रहता है oil prices पर. India 80% बाहर से लाता है. India is importing 80%. If the oil prices increases, means that transport cost in India will increase. If transport cost of in India is increase, product का increases. Simple. If transport cost increases, it will have a direct effect on production cost. Got it? Another is इसी में economic sanction. No sound. Am I audible? Other people? Okay, fair, thank you. So, economic sanction. For example, USA किस पे लगा देता है sanction? ईरान पे. Economic sanction means clearly it is stated to the international community that you should not trade with Iran. If any country trade with Iran, then America will not trade with them. America and its allies. अमेरिका और उसके जो एलाई है यूरोपियन कंट्री, वो लोग ट्रेड नहीं करेंगे. सो इफ कंट्री लाइक इंडिया इज इन फिक्स इन दैट सिचुएशन, व्हाई? बिकॉज ईरान इज वन ऑफ द मेजर सप्लायर ऑफ ऑयल एंड ईरान इज वन ऑफ द मेजर रेसिपिएंट ऑफ सीरियल्स फ्रॉम इंडिया. ये ईरान का है कहानी. बट अमेरिका से इंडिया अगर तुमने किया उसके साथ ट्रेड, then we will think about you. Now India is in fix. Why? Iran is important. America is more important. Our trade with America is much higher than Iran. Our dependence on United States is much for other issues, whether issues of terrorism, human trafficking, money laundering, China. So when economic sanction is put, तो क्या होता है? Disruption in trade. Whenever disruption in trade happens, you have problems in your supply. So these are some of the factors which has direct bearing on supply of a commodity. If that happens, So इसको मैं नीचे कर देता हूँ, write it down. Write down in supply side. Supply side, write down this one. Write down. What is it? International factors. Shubham, it is international factors. COVID-19 mostly related to supply. There is less demand in the market. That's why GDP नीचे चला गया ना. Sudden demand, please explain. Disposable income. Disposable income simply means that portion of income which you can dispose. Dispose का मतलब क्या होता है? Discard कर देना, हटा देना. That you don't need that. You don't need it for immediate purpose. So that kind of income, like TA, DA, सब जो मिल जाता है ना, those are more like disposable income. Bonus are disposable income because you're living your life in full swing and without even relying on bonuses. Got it? Economic Survey 2021. Not saving, not necessarily saving. Normally we save it, saving our basic minimum. After saving that, fine. Economic Survey 2021 explanation, sir. Amit, you cannot understand Economic Survey unless and until you understand these concepts that one reason why economics is started and it will continue for 15 days, maybe 20 days, I don't know. Reason is that you understand some of the fundamentals, then we will jump to Economic Survey. Otherwise, Economic Survey class will be as good as nothing. Fine, समझ में नहीं आएगा. Yes, today is budget. चलिए. Now let's talk about some terms. Can you explain artificial scarcity? Artificial scarcity it simply means that though production is sufficient, means supply is sufficient, but since I hoarded something, example देता हूं, produced goods and services, यहाँ पे onion मान के चलो, purpose क्या? It should finally reach to me, right? यहाँ पे एक wholesaler हो. This is a natural supply chain mechanism. But what happens from here? Let's say hoarding हो गया. The moment hoarding happens, it is disrupted. Got it? They create artificial. Here, what is the situation? Artificial scarcity. That there is no onion in the market. Now, after a few days, these people will sell at 100 rupees. Got it? Check. Devam, don't understand budget. Yes, not understand it. Give me some time. I told you, this is a promise that you will understand each and every single thing in economics. Economics will be the most easiest subject for you. Bas patience rakhiye thoda din. Everything will be explained. Fine. Now, some related terms. Related terms. Kuch related terms hai. Let's take a look. Okay. Inflation is one word. Okay. Then there is one word called deflation. Inflation is one word, deflation. Deflation is nothing but opposite of inflation. Okay? So deflation means opposite of inflation, or inflation means continuous increase in the price of goods and services. Deflation means continuous decrease in the price of goods and services. ज़्यादा दिमाग नहीं लगाना है, कम decrease है ये. Write down. Write down. It is opposite to inflation. Meaning, full stop, meaning continuous decrease in the price of goods and services. Price of goods and services. It happens mainly due to decrease in aggregate demand in an economy. It is mostly seen during the time of slowdown. ठीक है, डिफ्लेशन हो गया. अब दूसरा डिसइन्फ्लेशन. ये डिसइन्फ्लेशन क्या होता है? ओके, disinflation again nothing. Disinflation simply means short term decline in the price of goods and services. क्या है? Short term decline. मतलब कि ऐसा चल रहा है. इसका ग्राफ कैसा होगा देखो बताते हैं. Short term decline the rate of inflation. Inflation is what? Just imagine. ये ऐसे. Inflation means ऐसा something graph is like that rising. Fine. So this inflation क्या होगा? यहाँ के बाद थोड़ा कम होगा फिर ऐसे. This portion is this inflation. Got it? Write down. It refers to just one line. It refers to short-term decline in the rate of inflation. Rate of inflation. अब एक थर्ड है रिफ्लेशन. रिफ्लेशन क्या? ओके, रिफ्लेशन व्हाट इज? reflation. Reflation simply means, अब नाम सुनो, reflation means that after continuous decline, when there is a price rise, मान के चलो कोई price commodity ऐसा घट रहा है मतलब deflationary trend है, trend is deflationary here, from here short term जो ऐसा बढ़ गया, this situation is called reflation. Got it? Right on. Situation of price rise, situation of price rise after continuous decline in the price of goods and services, full stop. In other words, it is the first sign of inflation. If I plot a graph and if I ask you a question, ग्राफ प्लॉट करते हैं, क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं, फाइन, प्लीज आंसर इट, ओके, इसको आंसर देने की कोशिश कीजिएगा. प्राइस एंड टाइम, ठीक है. Okay, I will define it again, have patience. Based on this graph, this is the question, A, B, B, C, C, D, A से C, C से D, D से E, okay, इसको क्या कहेंगे आप? The term is deflation, inflation, reflation and disinflation. Okay, these are the four terms जो कि इसमें fit होगा. Tell me, everyone, you have the definition in your notebook. Based on that definition, answer this question. देखते हैं कितना सीखा आपने. Come on, give it a try. सोचो, thought put करिए ज्यादा. Okay, all right. बताओ. Okay. अच्छा, ऑल राइट, अब हम बताते हैं, ठीक है। अब देखते हैं, ए टू बी, फ्रॉम हियर टू हियर, देखते हैं, फाइन। प्राइस क्या हो रहा है, घट रहा है। व्हेन देयर इज अ कंटिन्यूअस, ओके, जो कंटिन्यूअस प्राइस डिक्रीज होगा, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, वी कॉल देम एज डिफ्लेशन, ठीक है। डिफ्लेशन इज ओवर। बी टू सी, सी थोड़ा ऊपर हो गया, वन मोमेंट। Deflation, continuous deflation. Continuous decline, there is after continuous decline, when there is a increase, नीचे जा रहा है ग्राफ, डिफ्लेशन, थोड़ा सा ऊपर बढ़ा, continuous decline हुआ, थोड़ा ऊपर, that is deflation. And from here there is a continuous increase, यहां से यहां तक, CD is your inflation. तो इन्फ्लेशन खत्म हो गया, रिफ्लेशन खत्म हो गया, डिसइन्फ्लेशन बचा। फ्रॉम डी टू सी, आफ्टर कंटिन्यूअस इंक्रीज इन द प्राइस ऑफ गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज, यहां पे क्या हुआ, थोड़ा डिक्लाइन हुआ कि नहीं कुछ समय के लिए, थोड़ा डिक्लाइन हुआ कि नहीं, तो शॉर्ट टर्म डिक्लाइन है, तो ये हो जाएगा आपका दिस फेज, अरे यार, दिस इज डी, ये वाला फेज क्या हो जाएगा, डिसइन्फ्लेशन, ठीक है। एवरीवन अंडरस्टूड, deflation means continuous decrease in the price of goods and services. Reflation means after continuous decrease in the price of goods and services, there is an increment, बढ़ा कि नहीं ग्राफ। Inflation is continuous increase in price of goods and services. Disinflation means short term decrease in the price of goods and services, यहां पे देखो, पढ़ेंगे स्टैगफ्लेशन भी पढ़ेंगे, स्क्यूफ्लेशन भी पढ़ेंगे, सुभाष, okay, don't worry about that, we'll learn everything what you know previously, जितना जानते हैं आप, I understand you might have read in graduation or masters or maybe some people might be doing PhD, I'm not sure, लेकिन आप हर एक चीज यहां समझ के जाएंगे in a very integrated way. And one more thing I would like to tell you, my dear friends, that UPSC's perspective is what is needed. I will give you that perspective because we have come here for UPSC preparation, okay. PhD and masters happens in universities, got it? Yes, of course, Chotu, I understand the time is over and you perhaps is not enjoying it. Nevertheless, I understand. Okay, so whatever has been taught today, I made you write that as well. Go and revise it. If you don't revise, I constantly tell it in all classes that economics is a tough subject, very, very tricky subject. If you don't revise, no person on the planet can make you understand it. Please revise. Revise करिए, and I'm telling you, mark my word, मैं हर एक चीज समझा के जाऊंगा आप लोग, ठीक है। तो आज के लिए यही रखते हैं। Thank you very much. Nice to see you everyone. Enjoy your next lecture. Fine. Thank you.